Remember when GoPro cameras looked like this? Man, times sure have changed. The GoPro Hero13 Black is here. I'm going to show you what comes inside the box. I'll walk you through the setup process. I'm going to test out some of the new attachable lenses. And then of course I'll show you some sample video and show you what that Hypersmooth technology is all about. Tech it before you wreck it. What's up, geeks? Here it is, the GoPro Hero13. Now, in many ways, it's a lot like its predecessor, but in some ways it's not. It supports video up to 5.3K at 60 frames per second. If you knock it down to 4K, which is still a pretty high resolution, you've got 120 frames per second. A lot of cool features on the GoPro Hero13, so let's get this thing over to the table and get this unboxed. There it is, the GoPro Hero13 Black, brand new GoPro, and I've got some of the new lenses, the macro lens mod and the ultra wide lens mod. If you stick around to the B side of the video, we will check those out as well. But first, I do want to start with the camera itself. This is it, brand new in the box. Haven't opened it up quite yet. You can see on the front, you've got the logo, you've got a picture of the new GoPro Hero13 Black. And on the bottom, they've got some of the lenses here, neutral density filters, ultra wide macro and anamorphic lenses that you can add as optional accessories. On the side, listing the features, you've got 4K 120 frame video, you've got burst slow-mo, you've got HLG HDR video, you've got lens mod auto detection when you put those lenses on, 27 megapixel photos, super photo HDR raw photos, hyper view 177 degrees, time lapse with time warp 3.0, 10-bit color, night effects, you've got a built-in GPS, you've got waterproof to 33 feet because it is a GoPro, and Hypersmooth 6.0. Hypersmooth is super cool. I'll show that off later in the video too if you haven't ever tested that out before. This shows you what's inside. Of course, it does come with the Enduro battery. This, unlike the GoPro 4K, this has that removable battery that many people have come to expect on GoPro models. And we've also got the standard GoPro mounts, like you'd expect, and a USB-C cable. And then it talks about some of those optional lenses again as well. On the back, it's simply showing that you should be using the software with your phone or your computer. That is the Quick software. It's available for both Google Play and Apple's App Store for Android and for iPhone, of course. Okay, let's get this box opened up and check out what's inside. This is the standard GoPro cardboard container. If you've purchased a GoPro in a while, then you've definitely seen this container before. As we open up the lid, we will find the instruction manuals and all the goodies. You've got a quick start sheet telling you that the camera must be updated before you can use it, because often these things are manufactured a month before they're released, and then they sit on shelves possibly, and so they're telling you update the software. This is a subscription to try to get you to subscribe to GoPro. And then you got some stickers. Thank you for the stickers, GoPro. We do love those. Pro tips for the best cold weather performance. Makes sense. A lot of people use these things out in the cold for winter sports. And you've got your standard instruction manual in 15 gazillion languages. So it's actually probably about 2 pages long, but you know, all those different languages. And then let's see what we've got inside the box. This is a USB-C cable. It is branded, USB-C on both sides, but it's GoPro branded, so that's nice to have that in there. You've got your standard GoPro mount. This is the piece that you would attach to your helmet, for example, and then you would use the other pieces to attach the camera to it. This is that Enduro battery, which is wrapped in a little paper protective sheath here. I'll unwrap it and you can see it's what we've come to expect, the GoPro battery with the little pull-out tab, so you can pull this out from the camera itself. So yeah, nice to have that removable battery if this is a system, an ecosystem that you're already into. And then you've got your standard GoPro mount, which is nice to see that these still work. After years and years of having the same mount for the GoPro, they still let you use what you already have. If you have one of these already attached to your helmet, to your bike, etc., and it works like it's always worked on those GoPros. All right, here's the camera itself. It also has its share of protective plastic and protective paper. Let's get the piece around the outside off of this first. Oh, don't forget, your camera must be updated before you use it. They really want to remind you of that. And here it comes. Rip that paper. Comes right off like a yo-yo. And there it is. And then we've got a couple of protective sheets on the lenses and the glass. Your moment of zen. Look at that screen on the front, which has been around for a few generations now. And look at that lens. As you can see, it's got a protective kind of piece of glass on top of it. And then the screen on the back, which is, as you'd guess, a touch screen here on the 13, like we've seen on previous GoPros. But it is nice to have that screen right there on the front. And we're going to take that piece of protective glass off later when I show you those lenses. Your mode button on the side, your power button. You've got your touch screen on the back, an LED indicator light right there, and then you've got on this side the little door that you open up to access the battery, the micro SD card slot, and the USB-C port. So that's all nice right there. And then on the top, you've got your capture button. Looks like another microphone hole is right there as well. The buttons are exactly what you'd expect from a GoPro. The fold-out flaps on the bottom, we've seen these for a bunch of generations, but this is a great idea. Instead of having to put a case on this thing, you can just use the GoPro mount right there, directly on the GoPro, and the same mount you've used for years. They created these flaps that pop out, so you use that pin to secure it. And what's really nice is that they now have a 1/4-inch threaded tripod mount. The standard tripod mount is also there on the bottom. So that's nice because many people have those standard tripod mounts that they use as well as the GoPro mounts. Let me put the battery inside the GoPro. Again, this just slides in like we've seen for a lot of generations on the GoPros. You close the door and now it's got power. Okay, we see that front screen lighting up, 13 black on the screen. Nice looking GoPro. I mean, it looks kind of what we'd expect from a GoPro. You've got your startup language selection option right there. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm gonna bump through these menus. Of course, I want English. And let's see, we agreed with the legal stuff. GPS, do you want to enable GPS? Of course I do. You can do overlays and stuff. This has voice control, which we saw with some of the previous generations, which is nice. You can use voices to control the GoPro when you've got gloves on, you're out in the cold, etc., etc. And it wants us to, do the update. So let's go ahead and get the SD card in here so we can do that update. Here's the card I'm using. Focus. A SanDisk Extreme 64 gig V30 card. It's a fast card, and you do want to make sure you have a fast card when you're doing 4K video at 120 frames a second. It's going to make a difference. And again, that slot is right next to the battery slot. You just pop the micro SD card inside, and the GoPro will recognize it, hopefully, right away. Let me go through the menus again here and get back to where we left off. I'm going to turn the voice control off. And now it's saying I've got to use the GoPro Quick app to advance past this to make sure I run that update. So let's do that and get that all set up on the phone. QR code will help you jump to the app quicker if you haven't installed it before. In my case, it'll take me right into the app because I have it installed already. And it says, hey, we found your GoPro Hero13 Black. Do you want to connect? And I will select connect and get the phone connected to the GoPro itself. And from there, you can actually start running the update. You also have the option to name your GoPro if you want to give it a custom name. Makes sense, especially if you have a lot of different GoPros. I'll just go with the default name that it suggested, which is Hero13 Black. All right, let's install your update. I'll hit continue and get that update installed. The 1.3 software update for the Hero13 Black. The GoPro's beeping because the update is finished and it is now powered on. So let's take a quick look, a quick gander through the on-screen interface of the new GoPro Hero13 Black. And if you swipe from the right to the left or the left to the right, you will toggle between the different modes. You've got photo, video, and time-lapse. I imagine most people are going to keep this in the video mode most of the time. Couple of buttons on screen here. You've got that 1x button. I'll tap that, and that changes the speed. If you want to go into a slow-mo, you've got various different options. 1x is standard speed, of course, 4K, 30 frames. You've got 2x, you've got 4x, and you've got 8x, which records at 240 frames per second, but plays back, of course, at 30 frames per second. But that's a pretty decent slow mode option there. This button lets you change how wide the shot is. You can go all the way up to hyper view at 12 millimeters. That's a super wide angle shot. I think most people will keep it in the middle, but you can also go to a digital lens, a linear plus horizon lock for super steady shooting, and then you've got your digital lens, which is the standard GoPro view. Bottom right, you can adjust the quality of the video up to 5.3K on this camera. 4K is standard, and then 1080p is basic. Of course, that's going to impact your storage space as well. And finally, this is the framing button. You can change it from widescreen to vertical, which is cool if you're shooting social media video, Instagram video, YouTube short video, and then you've got full frame, which is more of a square shot. Widescreen is probably what most people will use, or vertical framing. Of course, with widescreen, you could just get the same effect by turning your camera sideways, but whatever you prefer, it's nice to have that option there. You slide up from the bottom, you can look at your clips. I don't have any clips. You slide from the top and you get your quick menu options. I'll go through some of these real quick. First of all, this one gives you the front display adjustment. You can change kind of what you want the front display to show, how you want that to operate. I'm not going to change it right now. Well, let's see. All right, there you go. Orient yourself. This option changes the orientation. I just showed you exactly what that can cause. You can lock the orientation. So when I turn it sideways, it changes the menu. If I had locked it, it wouldn't change. You might want to lock that if you're going to use it in exclusively one mode. You've got your screensaver option to turn screensaver on and off. You've got the option to turn the LEDs on and off. You can lock the screen if you'd like. And then finally, you've got this button in the bottom right-hand corner that adjusts the lens attachment. So auto detect is cool because it'll detect which lens you have put on there, and then of course you can manually change it to something else as well. If you slide to the right, you get a Bluetooth setting, you get preferences. You can dig deep in here. You've got wireless settings, GPS settings, voice control settings, audio settings. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. If you slide over to the left, you've got your cloud and SD card set up there. Pretty basic, self-explanatory stuff. And we turn it around and you can see that front screen again. This thing looks cool. The Hero 13 is sort of exactly what we'd expect from GoPro in terms of it's got the front screen, it's got the changeable lenses, it's got the button on the top to start recording, it's got that LED on the front that's now flashing. This looks like a GoPro with better tech, better specs, but the same form factor that GoPro lovers have come to love. You made it to the B side of the video, and I told you I'd show you some of the lenses. I've got the ultra-wide lens mod and the macro lens mod. This is the ultra-wide mod. This one takes it out to 177 degrees, so that is very, very wide. They say it's the ultimate POV camera with the highest level of Hypersmooth video stabilization ever on a GoPro. So let's get this thing opened. Inside, we've got this, a little cleaning cloth for the lens, and then the lens comes in a little kind of carrying case. That's the back of the lens. This is the portion right here you're looking at that would actually connect to the GoPro camera itself. So you keep the cover on the front while you attach it. That protects the lens, and then you can kind of just sort of twist it on. So you'll see it's a quarter twist, counterclockwise to remove the lens, clockwise to attach the lens. I'll do a counterclockwise twist to take off the piece that comes with the GoPro, which is essentially a protective glass, and then I will line up the dots and do a clockwise quarter twist to attach this lens. This is that super wide lens, and there you go. You can tell it looks different. It's got a better shape to the glass to give you that ultra wide view. And as I turn the camera on, you'll even see some of that black area around the edges there, and I might have to adjust some of the settings to get rid of that. It just shows you how wide this lens actually is. Of course, you can adjust the quality. I don't really want to mess with that right now. What I want to do is I want to adjust the actual view. How wide do I want the camera to go with this? We also want to check out the macro lens mod as well, which is going to work in a very similar fashion. So I'll open this one up too. It attaches the same way. You line up that blue dot, see how that lines up like that, and then you push it on and give it that quarter turn clockwise to attach, and it should appropriately attach to the GoPro. You'll know when it's on there because it'll feel secure and tight like it's supposed to. So I've got the macro lens on there now, and you can see me kind of twisting it because there is actually a manual focus ring on the lens itself. This isn't an automatic focus like you'd think of with your cell phone camera. This has to be focused manually, but it gives you macro video like you've never really been able to get with a GoPro before. Of course, we all want to see what the video looks like coming out of the GoPro, and so it's demo time. I've got the GoPro recording right here, and I'm going to give the GoPro kind of a decent shake so you can see what that hyper smooth stabilization looks like. As you can see, of course, the GoPro shaking in my hand right here, and then the video outputted from the GoPro right next to it. I want to know what you guys think. It's time to comment below. I'd love to hear if you're upgrading from the GoPro Hero 12 to the GoPro Hero 13. Is that enough of an upgrade for you? Or maybe you're holding out, or maybe you're going with one of the alternatives. So comment below. I can't wait to hear your feedback, and I try to comment back on every single comment here on my videos. And subscribe to the channel. I got a lot more cool, geeky, in-depth videos coming your way. Tech it before you wreck it. I'm Kirk.